WIN News.
Tonight, a former soccer official faces court over alleged sex offences. Calls for a rethink on the transfer of water from Tallow Dam. And a new partnership for Wollongong University.
Good evening, I'm Geoff Phillips.
And I'm Kerryn Johnston. Also tonight, another house fire, this time at Fairy Meadow.
And environmental concerns for the far south coast. A former Wollongong Wolves Youth League manager, who was also a former club mascot and bus driver, has faced Wollongong court on multiple sex assault charges involving underage males. Investigating detectives allege two of Kenneth Frank's victims were seriously intellectually disabled.
49-year-old Kenneth Franks left court after 5 additional charges were laid in relation to the alleged sexual assault of males under the age of 18. He now faces 14 charges, including 9 of the sexual assault of males suffering serious intellectual disabilities. A statement of facts handed to the magistrate identified Kenneth Franks from Malloy Street, Bulli, as a former Wollongong Wolves mascot, the manager of a children's soccer team and bus driver for a children's soccer team. Franks also operates a mobile children's disco. Investigators allege he used these positions of trust to place himself around children. It's alleged the offences happened between 1992 and May this year. Franks is alleged to have formed a relationship with the mother of one victim, who he took out on regular fishing trips in his vessel named Tail Dancer. It's alleged by detectives from the Child Protection Unit that child became one of 4 alleged victims, 2 of those suffering serious intellectual disabilities. Franks today had bail continued with strict provisions. It's understood he's been stood down by the Wollongong Wolves Soccer Club. Kenneth Franks will reappear in court on September 28. Peter Andrea, WIN News.
The Wollongong University student injured in yesterday's fatal cycling accident in Germany remains in a stable condition. 20-year-old Kate Nichols was among 5 Australian cyclists injured when an out-of-control car ploughed into the group. Kate underwent surgery on her badly injured hand but should fully recover. The Nichols family left Sydney Airport last night to be with their daughter. 29-year-old Amy Gillett was killed in the crash.
The New South Wales opposition is condemning the move to increase the capacity of Tallow Dam to satisfy Sydney's thirst for water. Adrian Piccoli says the state government should look closer at recycling its own water before looking south.
The Shadow Minister for Natural Resources travelled to Wollongong to meet with the Southern Rivers Catchment Authority for a briefing on their actions and priorities. Following recent visits from State Premier Bob Carr and Environment Minister Bob Debus in support of raising the Tallow Dam wall, Adrian Piccoli has come out in support of local MP Shelley Hancock opposing the increase. Unlike his state government counterparts, Mr Piccoli feels Sydney Water should explore alternatives in its own backyard before heading south to fill its needs.
I think that Sydney Water can do a lot of things to get their own house in order without diverting the Shoalhaven any further.
Adrian Piccoli is also against other state government measures like the recent proposal to construct a $2 billion desalination plant at Kurnell.
We oppose a desalinisation plant and we oppose what the government are planning to do to the Shoalhaven because we can see that there are better alternatives, and those better alternatives involve recycling of wastewater in Sydney.
Like Shelley Hancock, he urges residents of the Shoalhaven to vote with their feet.
I think the people of the South Coast, and particularly around the Shoalhaven, should be very concerned about this. I know there's a protest rally on the weekend, and I urge people to turn up to that.
The Shoalhaven River Alliance has invited state ministers and the opposition to attend the rally this Saturday. Noni Edwards, WIN News.
Meanwhile, the Southern Highlands Council is urging a united stance from councils throughout New South Wales against state government bureaucracy. Wingecarribee Shire Council is furious. It faces a 46% hike in bulk water charges as the state plans to divert its water for Sydney's consumption.
Reeling after being knocked back by the state government for an 8% additional rate increase to fund capital works programs, Wingecarribee Council is talking revolution. Its furious scarce water resources, which supply Barrel and surrounding villages, could be siphoned from the Wingecarribee Dam to quench Sydney's need for water. That, as it's slugged with a massive increase in bulk water charges.
The people in Sydney have got to realise that country New South Wales, with the drought conditions, which affects all businesses, that suddenly we've got to find an impost of 46% and then 10% yearly after that.
The Wingecarribee Council will consider a flat refusal to pay the water rate impost and hopes to enlist the Shoalhaven, which will also lose local water to Sydney Dams as an ally.
Well, I hope the submission from Shoalhaven would be along those lines. We've got to make protest to Minister Sartor.
The Wingecarribee Mayor believes it's time local government took a stance or listened for the death knell.
Hey, we've got to stick up for ourselves here. I believe local government in the whole of New South Wales has got to be on a united front on a lot of matters to fight on state issues.
Peter Andrea, WIN News.
Fire units from Corrimal, Balgownie and Wollongong battled for almost an hour to gain control following a blaze in a house at Ferry Meadow this afternoon. The MacArthur Avenue home was unoccupied at the time. The cause of the fire is being investigated. Wollongong University is set to become a leader in leadership. The university will carve out courses it hopes will change the way people lead in Australia and the world.
Politicians and figures of authority are often the subject of public scrutiny.
If you look at some of the leadership failures around just Australia, but if you look internationally, it's obvious as well. And the leadership is not about just concentrating on the bottom line.
Wollongong University is stepping in. It wants to carve the leaders of tomorrow into figures Australians actually respect. In conjunction with the Australian Catholic University, it's looking to run courses in how to lead. It's not just for uni students. Postgraduate-like courses will be set up for teachers, principals, leaders in the government sector, the police force and charities.
Normally, these courses are a combination of modules which you can take separately, or you can put them together and end up with a qualification.
The uni will collaborate with campuses throughout the country and hopes the program will quickly become an integral part of major organisations throughout the nation. In the future, the course and collaborative research will be taken to Southeast Asia and India. This will then give the University of Wollongong an international reputation as experts in leadership training. Amy McKay, WIN News.
The Environment Protection Authority is investigating allegations of illegal land clearing in a 15-kilometre power line corridor in the Boyne State Forest. It has 12 months to complete a report. Country Energy ordered the work near Batemans Bay in April and finished last month. It says clearing was needed to prevent trees from coming into contact with high voltage lines. Meantime, the state government is reviewing forestry plantations. Roads, fire management and landscape planning are being investigated. The Natural Resources Department says the original act hoped for quick regrowth in areas that had been cleared to prevent erosion and salinity, but it's now under fire for promoting unnatural monocultures.
Coming up on WIN News, an economic push for Shellharbour.
And insurance woes for the wave generator.
Every house, every street, every price. The lowdown on buying and selling.
We learnt a lot.
See how the experts make big profits on every deal.
It could save you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
Plus, it's outselling the Da Vinci Code, why the CSIRO diet is a smash hit.
The book must have hit the mark.
A current affair tonight.
Representatives from the state's Nursing Association have today commenced a three-day conference in Sydney. Heading the agenda, discussion on the federal government's industrial relations proposals. The Nurses Association is strongly opposed to the move, suggesting it's a direct attack on its working rights. Pay and annual leave entitlements are also on the agenda.